In the center of the wheel, you'll see this cap that covers all the lug nuts with a 22mm socket. Let's remove all these caps that hold onto the lug nuts. Now with the 22mm socket as well, go ahead and take off all 8 of your lug nuts, and then we'll take the wheel off. Now with the wheel off, you can see the inner and outer tie rod, and we have to break free the jam nut that locks the two together. So I'll put a 22mm wrench on the nut, and I'm going to use a rubber mallet to tap on the wrench and help break this free. There we go. The whole inner tie rod spun with the nut, but that's okay. 21mm socket, remove this nut. Okay, so it looks like for me, the tie rod came down right away. Usually that doesn't happen, so you have to hammer on the knuckle with a hammer. That eventually will break the tie rod free. But if yours does this, well, then just take it off, set it to the side, remove the nut. At this point, we have to count how many turns it takes to remove this outer tie rod from the inner tie rod. That way, when we put it back, we can get close, and you still need an alignment, but by the time you get to your alignment shop, your wheels aren't going to be all crooked. So okay, I had 22 turns. Of course, for you, the number is going to be different, but whatever number you have, memorize it, write it down somewhere. Now, if you follow the inner tie rod, you'll see a nut that connects it right here. Go ahead and take this off. It's a 24mm. The whole tie rod is spinning, so I'm going to hold it with some pliers here. There we go. This nut shouldn't be too tight. And remove the tie rod. Here it is. Go ahead and clean up the mounting area. Next, take your new inner tie rod, slide it through here, and put the nut back on. Let's go ahead and tighten this up. I'm gonna hold this with some pliers. All right, let's torque it. 47 foot-pounds for this. Next, I want to apply some anti-seize to these threads over here. That's going to help the outer tie rod not get stuck on the threads, as well as the jam nut. Now take your outer tie rod and put it back the same amount of turns that it took to take it off. Bring it down, put it through the knuckle. Put on the castle nut, bottom it out, and torque it to 47 foot-pounds. Okay, that's it right there. I'm going to make sure that my cotter pin hole lines up with the slot, which it does not. And you always want to tighten to make those line up and not loosen. A little more. That's it right there, perfect. So slide your cotter pin through, bend it over to lock it in. Now let's move back to the jam nut and press this up against the inner tie rod to lock the two together. Grab your wrench and just give it a good snug. Now let's put the wheel on, and you can go get yourself an alignment. Let's get the wheel back on. Start on all of your lug nuts, bottom them out, and then torque them to 140 foot-pounds. Last but not least, don't forget about the cap that covers up your lug nuts. Slide this on, and it's best to thread this on by hand because these plastic caps can break and strip out easily. So just make them snug enough to hold this in place. You don't have to go crazy tight on these. Okay, take it for a road test.